The Prince of Varkath declared humans were weak, then got launched into a wall. The alien academy of Zala was a fortress of ivory towers, glowing runes, and crystalline lecture halls, where species from 20 galaxies trained in combat, science, and diplomacy. It was a place where lineage mattered, power meant survival, and humans were a curiosity admitted only recently. Mira Jameson sat quietly at her desk, the sole human in the class of Battle Tactics 201. She had been through weeks of subtle insults, snickers, and loud declarations that humans were frail creatures who survived only by luck. Mira smiled through it all, scribbling notes and humming earth tunes that made the antennae of her classmates twitch with irritation. It was on a bright silver morning that Prince Calreth, heir to the Zorathian dominion, strode into class with his armored entourage. His scales shimmered cobalt, and his crest of horn clinked with ceremonial rings of gold. Calreth loved an audience, and today he had one. "Human," he said loudly, tail lashing across the polished floor, "you sit among us as if equal, but equality is earned. I challenge you before the eyes of our peers. Show us what your kind is beyond chatter and fragile bones." The class went silent. Dozens of alien eyes in every shape and color turned toward Mira. Some expected her to shrink, others expected her to plead. Instead, Mira set her pen down, stood, and adjusted her academy uniform as if preparing for gym. "Sure," she said calmly. "Rules?" Calreth bared his fangs. "Rules? We fight until one falls." He grinned wider. "You may use any tool you carry. I will only use my hands." Murmurs filled the hall. Some whispered that it was cruelty, others whispered that it was mercy. Mira only stretched her arms overhead and yawned. "All right then," she said, stepping into the ring at the center of the class. The instructor, a bored-looking four-eyed being, sighed and activated the dueling circle. "Proceed. Try not to shatter too many bones. Repairs are expensive." Calreth lunged first, his massive frame blurring with speed. His claws sliced through the air where Mira had been. She ducked under, pivoted, and with a move that seemed laughably simple, she tapped his wrist and spun behind him. The class blinked. Calreth blinked. His claws scraped the floor. Mira grinned, light on her feet, hopping slightly as though she were warming up for a schoolyard game. Calreth snarled and struck again, this time with more force, his tail whipping with enough power to dent steel. Mira bent her knees, slid under him, and with a sudden kick, she hit his ankle joint. The great prince stumbled, his towering frame wobbling. A ripple of gasps swept through the students. "Balance, Prince," Mira teased. "Your form's wide open." Calreth roared, fury overwhelming pride. He charged faster than before, his full weight shaking the floor. This time, Mira didn't dodge. She ran forward and leaped, planting her foot on his chest plate, using his momentum against him. She twisted midair, pushed, and let physics do the rest. The class never even had time to process. The next moment, Calreth slammed into the wall of the arena with a resounding thud, his horns clattering as he crumpled to the floor. Silence. Utter silence. Then a ripple of disbelief. Some aliens leaned forward, eyes wide. Others covered their mouths or mandibles. The instructor raised all four brows. "Fight concluded," he said slowly. "Victor, the human." Mira landed lightly, brushing imaginary dust off her sleeves. She turned, bowed slightly toward Calreth, who groaned as he tried to rise and said, "Thanks for the warm-up." That was when the class erupted into chaos. Students shouted, wings flared, tails lashed, and tentacles writhed. Some cheered, some argued, and others simply stared at Mira as though seeing her for the first time. Prince Calreth's attendants rushed forward, but he waved them off, staggering to his feet. His pride was battered, his body bruised, but his eyes gleamed with something Mira did not expect, respect. "You," Calreth said hoarsely, "you fight with no claws, no fangs, no armor. And yet you made me fall." Mira shrugged. "Physics, practice, and a good breakfast. Try it sometime." The laughter that followed was not cruel, but shocked, delighted, and strangely admiring. For the first time, the human girl was no longer dismissed as weak. She was seen as dangerous, unpredictable, and perhaps even worthy. News of the duel spread through the academy like wildfire. By midday, students from other divisions whispered her name in the halls. By evening, upperclassmen were replaying hollow recordings of the fight. By nightfall, even the headmasters debated what it meant that a human could humble a prince. Mira sat in her dorm room. He looked almost sheepish, if a horned reptilian prince could look that way. Human, he said, voice softer than before. I came to demand another match. But instead I ask, teach me. Teach me how you fight with so little, yet strike with such effect. Mira tilted her head, considered, then smiled. Sure, but you'll have to learn the first human rule, Kelreth frowned. Rule? Don't underestimate us. Word of Mira's victory traveled faster than light across the Academy's gossip networks. In the dining halls, alien cadets replayed the duel frame by frame, analyzing the impossible speed of her counters. In the training arenas, younger students mimicked her movements, though none could reproduce the effortless timing. To the faculty, she became both curiosity and threat, a case study in how underestimated species might upset centuries of carefully balanced power hierarchies. Mira herself remained unchanged. She still woke early to jog around the campus gardens, still hummed old Earth pop songs while studying, and still brewed tea in her battered thermos. What did change were the stares. Less dismissive now, more calculating. Some students looked at her as a challenge to conquer, others as an ally worth cultivating. And of course, Prince Calreth loomed largest among them. After his humiliating defeat, he sought her out daily. At first, his presence was stiff and formal. He followed her into the practice rooms, offering awkward thanks and demanding lessons. She agreed mostly because it amused her to see a crowned prince stumbling through human warm-ups, panting after sprints and struggling with push-ups. Over time, his stiffness faded, replaced by genuine curiosity. You humans rely on leverage, not brute strength, Calreth noted one afternoon as Mira demonstrated a simple throw. You make an enemy size their own downfall. Mira smirked, flipping him onto the padded mat again. Exactly. You guys train to dominate. We train to survive. Different perspectives. Their sessions drew spectators. Crowds gathered at the edge of the training hall, watching a human teenager toss a massive alien prince to the ground over and over. Whispers grew into rumors, rumors into legend. Some called her the soft weapon, others the two-legged paradox. Calreth, far from shamed, began to wear those whispers proudly, declaring that learning from a human was proof of his strength. It did not sit well with all. In the upper echelons of the academy, where heirs of great empires mingled, Mira's rise was seen as destabilizing. To them, humans were a minor species, recently integrated, with no right to leap ahead in prestige. Behind closed doors, plans began to stir. One evening, as Mira left the training hall, she was intercepted by 3 students from the Krell Dominion, a rival power to Calreth's lineage. They blocked her path with clicking mandibles and venomous glares. Human, hissed one, his carapace gleaming under the corridor lights. Your tricks have humiliated royalty. That is unacceptable. Mira tightened her grip on her thermos, tilting her head. Funny, I thought he was fine with it. His acceptance means nothing, snarled another. You upset balance. You will pay. The trio lunged. Mira sidestepped, but fluid as water, using the narrow corridor to her advantage. One charged too fast, slamming into the wall. Another raised a clawed arm, only for Mira to duck and sweep his legs, toppling him with a thud. The third hesitated, mandibles clicking nervously, then hissed and fled. The fight was over in seconds. Mira exhaled and kept walking, not even spilling her tea. But word of the ambush reached Calreth by nightfall. He arrived at her dormitory, scales bristling with anger. They dare touch my teacher. This is dishonor. Mira sipped calmly. Relax. They're embarrassed enough already. Besides, you can't protect me from every bruised ego. Calreth glared, then laughed, deep and booming. You speak like a warrior twice your years. Their unlikely bond deepened. Calreth began to share his own struggles, the crushing expectations of his lineage, the constant comparisons to elder siblings, the sense that every duel was a performance for unseen judges. Mira listened, offering advice that seemed simple but struck him deeply. "Stop fighting to prove yourself to others," she said once, leaning back against a bench in the academy gardens. "Fight to prove something to yourself. It's less exhausting that way." Yet even as their friendship grew, storm clouds gathered beyond the academy walls. Reports began to surface of skirmishes between human colonies and alien patrols on the frontier. Whispers of war traveled through the halls, carried on the wings of rumor. Some students mocked that humans were biting off more than they could chew. The academy prided itself on neutrality, but tension seeped into every class. During one lecture on interspecies strategy, an instructor posed a scenario. If an emerging species suddenly demonstrates capabilities far beyond expectation, what is the correct response? Dozens of alien hands rose. The answers varied: contain, crush, manipulate. Mara listened quietly, then raised her hand. "Or you could cooperate," she said. "Instead of treating strength as a threat, treat it as a chance to learn." The room fell silent, students shifting uncomfortably. The instructor studied her for a long moment before moving on. After class, Calreth walked beside her. "You know they will not accept that so easily." Mira shrugged. "That's their problem. I'm not here to make everyone comfortable." Still, the unease gnawed at her. She knew that victories, even small ones, carried consequences. The ambush in the corridor proved it, and the glances from upperclassmen told her more challenges were coming. She had been raised on Earth stories of underdogs triumphing, of humans carving paths in impossible circumstances. But here, at the center of alien power, she realized those stories were no longer metaphors. They were blueprints. That realization sharpened one evening when the Academy announced the annual grand trial, a showcase where students demonstrated their skills before dignitaries from across the galaxy. For most, it was a chance to earn prestige. For Mira, it smelled like a trap. Calreth found her packing gear in the training hall. "You will enter, won't you?" "They expect you to," Mira tightened her gloves. "Of course I will, and then, if they want a show, I'll give them one. But I won't just be fighting classmates this time. I'll be fighting every assumption they've made about humans. And those assumptions are heavier than any prince I've thrown into a wall." Calreth grinned, fangs flashing. "Then let us make history together." Mira chuckled softly. "One step at a time, Your Highness." First, we survived the grand trial. The grand trial began beneath the twin suns of Zayla, in an arena so vast its walls disappeared into mist. Thousands of students filled the terraces, their voices rising in a thunderous chorus of anticipation. The dignitaries of the Academy, lords, envoys, and generals from a dozen empires, sat in elevated platforms of crystal, their eyes glinting as they observed. This was not merely a showcase, it was a test of status, a performance where alliances and rivalries played out in miniature. Mira stood at the entrance tunnel, rolling her shoulders. Around her, competitors shimmered in armor of scales, metal, and plasma, their weapons glowing. She carried nothing but her Academy-issued uniform and her thermos of tea, now tucked safely aside. Prince Calreth stood beside her, armored in ceremonial plating, yet strangely relaxed. "They expect me to crush you today," he said quietly. "If I do not, they will call me weak. If I do, I lose you as teacher. The game is rigged." Mira gave him a sideways glance, her expression calm. "So don't play their game. Play ours." The announcer's voice boomed. "Welcome to the grand trial. Combatants, step forth." The first round was chaos. Teams of mixed species clashed in tactical challenges. Mira found herself paired with Calreth against a squad of 4 upperclassmen. Their strategy was simple: eliminate the human first, then deal with the prince. Mira darted between their heavy swings, using her agility to redirect momentum. She tripped a towering insectoid into his teammate, flipped over a reptilian's sweeping tail, and delivered a precise strike to his jaw hinge. Calreth covered her with devastating counters, his blows thunderous but measured. Together, they finished the round in less than 3 minutes. The audience roared. By the second round, word spread. The human and the prince fought as one. Spectators began to cheer for her by name. Something unheard of. "Mira, Mira, Mira!" The sound rolled like a storm. Some dignitaries frowned, others leaned forward with growing interest. The third round was where the trap revealed itself. Instead of balanced matches, the Academy officials released an apex predator from the outer colonies, a hulking beast bred for war games. Its hide was plated, its eyes glowed red, and its roar rattled the arena. Gasps echoed. Many students stepped back, but Mira stepped forward. "They set this up to break me," she muttered. Calreth snarled. "Then we break their expectations instead." The beast charged, a mountain of muscle and armor. Calreth met it head-on, grappling with raw strength, but its claws gouged even his hardened scales. Mira sprinted, leaping onto its back. She remembered every Earth training session. With a synchronized effort, Calreth twisted the beast's forearm while Mira leveraged her weight. The creature collapsed with a crash that shook the arena floor. Silence fell, then erupted into deafening cheers. The dignitaries leaned forward now, whispering fiercely among themselves. A human had not only survived, but led the fall of a beast designed to terrify elite students. The final match was symbolic. Mira versus Calreth, student against prince, teacher against learner. The crowd waited breathlessly. Calreth turned to Tyr. "If I fight you, I am trapped. If I yield, I am disgraced. What do we do?" Mira smiled faintly. "We give them a fight they'll never forget." They clashed in a dazzling display. Calreth swung wide arcs, his claws striking sparks against the floor. Mira darted close, flipping him over her shoulder, only for him to roll and counter. Each movement was sharp, precise, and impossibly quick. The crowd gasped at every reversal. Neither seemed intent on victory. They were showing what partnership meant, what balance could achieve. The match reached its climax when Calreth lunged with full force and Mira used his momentum to flip him high into the air. Instead of slamming him down, she caught his arm mid-fall, cushioning the landing, then stepped back. Both stood, breathing hard, and simultaneously lowered their stances in a gesture of respect. The arena fell into stunned silence before erupting into the loudest cheer of the trial. Dignitaries argued furiously, some declaring it dishonor, others declaring it brilliance. The instructor announced, "Match concluded. No victor, no loser." Lesson learned, Mira bowed slightly and walked off the field, unbothered by titles. She had not come to win medals but to prove presence. Calreth followed, grinning with pride. "You have changed everything," he said. "Even my rivals cannot deny it now. Humans are not weak. They are not prey. They are unexpected." Mira chuckled. "Unexpected's a good start. Give us a little time and you'll find out we're much more." In the days that followed, the Academy could not stop talking. Some students whispered awe, others plotted revenge, but none dismissed humans anymore. Mira became the subject of holo-records circulated far beyond the Academy walls. On distant colonies, humans heard of one of their own standing tall among the elite and felt pride stir. And though tensions between species simmered, something new was planted. A realization that humans could no longer be ignored, underestimated, or erased from the galactic stage. Mira knew her journey was only beginning, but for now she sipped her tea, smiled, and prepared for the next chapter. Did you like today's story? Then catch our posts at 3 p.m. Eastern Time daily. Unfold more intergalactic stories with Professor Space.